It's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America, we are Red Eye Radio. Good morning. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Oh, wow. I know it probably seems a lot longer.
Yeah.
But the president, not even 7 days. At noon today, it will be 7 days.
Right. He will also later today sign an executive order that will lengthen the hours in a day. It will go from 24 to 48. So that way he'll be able to get more things done.
I burst out laughing. Who was it? Was it a congressperson? Did somebody that there were two things. The one member of Congress that put in that Trump should be able to serve a third term.
Yeah. Yeah.
The other one was that Trump should be on Mount Rushmore.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, it's driving the left.
Oh,
absolutely.
They can't even manage that. They can't manage a week. Imagine a third term.
A week?
Exactly.
They couldn't handle 5 days.
It was just insane.
I want to play this, and something happened because of Trump's visit to the L.A. disaster zone, as they call it. I'm reading the banner, actually, on the meeting that was held. And this was Friday when Trump was there with city officials, including the mayor.
Mm-hmm.
And this was pretty amazing because the discussion was people wanting to go back to their homes and clean up, and they're not allowed in.
Right.
And they were told, well, we don't know. It could be a long time. It could be months. And people are furious. And Trump wasn't pleased with it either.
Right.
And listen to part of this exchange.
6 months is no good.
And the number one thing that we are going to do immediately, and you will see this happen, is to clear out the debris. And, we're concerned right now over the weekend because of the potential rain, but we are going to move as fast as we can, but we want you to be safe, and we want you to be back in your homes immediately.
But the people are willing to clean out their own debris. It doesn't cost a lot.
Yes, and they can.
You should let them do it because by the time you hire contractors, it's going to be 2 years.
If a family...
The people are willing to get a dumpster and do it themselves and clean it out.
And they can.
There's not that much left. It's all incinerated.
That's right.
And, it's just going to take a long time if you do. You can do some of it, but a lot of these people, I know that guy right there that's talking. I know my people. You'll be on that thing tonight, throwing the stuff away, and your site it'll look perfect within 24 hours, and that's what he wants to do. He doesn't want to wait around for 7 months till the city hires some demolition contract that's going to charge him $25,000 to do his lot. Yeah. I think you have emergency powers just like I do, and I'm exercising my emergency powers. You have to exercise them also.
I did exercise them.
Because you have a very powerful emergency power, and you can do everything within 24 hours.
Yes. And if individuals want to clear out their property, they can. Well, yes, but you know that you will be able to go back soon.
Mr. President.
We think within a week.
That's a long time, a week. I'll be honest. To me, everyone's standing in front of their house. They want to go to work, and they're not allowed to do it.
And the most important thing is for people to be safe.
They're safe. They're safe. You know what? They're not safe. They're not safe now. They're going to be much safer. A week is actually a long time, the way I look at it. I watched hundreds of people standing in front of their lots, and they're not allowed to go in. It's all burned. It's gone. It's done. Nothing's going to happen to it. It's not going to burn anymore. There's nothing to burn. There's almost nothing to burn. And they want to go in. The people are all over the place. They're standing. And I say, why aren't you going in? We're trying to get a permit. And the permit's going to take them. Everybody said 18 months. You said 18 months. You said 18 months.
Last night.
And that was last night.
Yeah.
it was announced they can go back today.
Yeah. But, here's the thing is that everybody sees it. You're not seeing this big pushback against him. And he's not slowing down. There hasn't been this major media resistance or resistance by Democrats in power. And why is that? Because they know he's right. And they also know that he won and has a mandate. But it's the approach to all of this. They should be able to start their own cleanup. That's their home. That's the only thing. This is the only thing they have left, is to start the process of starting over.
Well, the interesting thing is when you see this, how they keep backing off and backing off and backing off. Because it's like, whoa, you can go back and clean up, or you can go back, you can go back to your home. Well, in a week. Well, the night before they were told 18 months.
Right.
That's what they were screaming in the background. We were told 18 months.
18 months.
Somebody else said 6 months. We were told 18 months.
Right.
And then she came out and said, well, maybe in a week.
Yeah.
And that was Friday. Well, they announced yesterday you can go back today.
And you have to ask yourself.
And nothing has changed on the ground.
Nothing has changed. There hasn't been any conditional change.
Right.
So why did they set it at, whatever it was, 6 months, 18 months, and then all of a sudden, political pressure. You could have done this from the beginning. As soon as we know there are no embers burning, as soon as we can clear that, you go in, you can go right back to it. The only thing we're concerned about is the areas that are still burning. Well, most of these homes we're talking about, like Trump said, it's ashes. There's nothing left to burn. And yet they want to slow roll it. Because we go back to Rahm Emanuel, every crisis is an opportunity. And for them, an opportunity to gain more power and control over your life.
The only reason they can go back today is Trump.
Right. No, it is.
They kept, and that's fascinating to see the people say, well, we were told yesterday 18 months.
Right.
Well, no, maybe next week. They're backing off on it.
Yes.
And then it was like, no, today, you can go back today. That's Trump.
Yeah.
That's all Trump.
Yeah, full on.
That was an amazing exchange, and I told you earlier when we were listening to it off the air, I went, that's my father.
Yep. Well,
my father
right here, debating right here, full stop. And I didn't find that disrespectful at all. Look, he's fighting for people to be able to go and start the process of cleaning up so they can rebuild.
Then we see John Ratcliffe, now the head of the CIA, comes out with a report from the Biden administration. This wasn't Ratcliffe. Biden administration. New York Times had it.
Yeah.
Everybody had it. Most likely scenario, lab leak.
Yep.
And the Biden administration would not release it.
Nope.
Now, we already knew. I think some media outlets already had said that was the case. We knew that.
Right.
But the Biden administration would not release that.
It's official now.
It's official now. Now we know. And we know what went on with that. The question is, why was the Biden administration, why were Democrats weren't screaming about it.
Nope.
Even when media outlets started coming out saying, no, it's the most likely thing. And remember, the FBI had come out over, 2 years ago and said most likely cause was that they kept hiding it. They kept hiding it.
Yep.
Why?
Yeah, why would you hide that?
Why did they hide it? Democrats didn't care.
Nope.
Democrat voters didn't care.
No.
Something that shut down the United States, economically destroyed thousands upon thousands of people and their business, their fiscal outlook, because of it, created still untold damage because Democrats wanted schools closed down. Oh, that also came out. Jonathan Turley wrote about that. Now a new study in the Journal of Infection further undermines the once orthodox views of the pandemic, concluding that reopening schools did not change the existing trajectory of the COVID-19 rates. In other words, we shut down our schools without any demonstrable benefit to the country. We did, however, succeed in reducing free speech in the name of combating disinformation that was actually not disinformation.
Amazing how that works.
The report is based on one of the comprehensive studies to date on the pandemic. Data was extracted from government websites, cases, and COVID-19 hospitalization and death incidence rates that were calculated during the Delta and early Omicron periods in Australia, Canada, Denmark, Finland, and the United Kingdom for 2 weeks preceding and 6 weeks after schools reopened. We summarized the public health measures, vaccination rates, age, testing rates. In comparing these different countries, the scientists found no significant differences in reporting cases, whether schools were open or schools were closed.
Yep.
Remember the Great Barrington Declaration when that came out in October of 2020?
Yep.
So we were talking, by the time you got to summer, we were talking about this.
Yep.
This was all part of the conversation, open schools. And the unions, the teachers' unions, supported by the Democrats, was the main influence of keeping schools closed.
Yep. Yep. Look, now it's going to be about follow the money. Now it's going to be about, again, supporting with money gain of function research. Because our concern, by the way, the concern of anybody with common sense that's thinking about this is it could be going on right now with other viruses. What other gain of function research is being done with what any other virus, whether it's and in any other lab, regardless of where it is, but especially you do this deal with the Wuhan lab, and you are pouring money into this. Who was responsible for that?
As Turley writes here, the very figures claiming to battle disinformation, Democrats, were suppressing opposing views that have now been vindicated as credible.
Yeah.
It was not only the lab theory. In my recent book, I discuss how signatories of the Great Barrington Declaration were fired or disciplined by their schools or associations for questioning COVID-19 policies. Some experts question the efficacy of surgical masks, the scientific support for the 6-foot rule, and the necessity of shutting down schools. The government has now admitted that many of these objections were valid and that it did not have hard science to support the policies. While other allies in the West did not shut down their schools, we never had a debate of substance due to the efforts of this alliance of academic, media, and government figures. Not only did millions die from the pandemic, but the United States is still struggling with the educational and mental health consequences of shutting down all of our public schools. That is the true cost of censorship when the government works with the media to stifle scientific debate and public disclosures. And remember, those claiming that they were trying to stop disinformation were trying to stop scientific debate, and they claim they're the party of science. Just amazing.
Yeah.
Just amazing.
Wow.
Unbelievable. 866-90 Red Eye.
This morning's USDA Farm Report is brought to you by House Products. Tested, trusted, guaranteed since 1920.
The Deep South's recent winter weather outbreak, put in a historical context by USDA meteorologist Brad Rippey.
This certainly ranks among the top 1 or 2 all-time for snowfall across the Deep South.
With record accumulations reported in locales such as New Orleans, Lake Charles, Louisiana, and Mobile, Alabama, and the only comparable snowfall occurring, in some cases, in the late 1800s. The bitter cold that trailed the snow caused some crop concerns.
Producers generally monitoring citrus and other winter crops in deep South Texas. Producers continue to monitor winter wheat. Always worry about some of the nursery crops, the ornamentals, and backyard gardens where you just have things that are not typically exposed to temperatures in the single digits and teens.
However, snow levels serve as freeze insulation for some ground level crops, such as winter grains and sugarcane. I'm Rod Bain reporting for the U.S. Department of Agriculture in Washington, D.C.
This report brought to you by Cenex Fuels and Lubes.
Lines open for your calls. 866-90-RED-EYE on Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. So the new CIA boss, John Ratcliffe, said that he released the Biden-era report, by the way, in his first day of the job. Yeah. He released it in order to restore trust and show transparency. But think about it. The CIA would not release it. There was nothing to do with any top secrets whatsoever. We already knew it from the media. The media had already reported this.
Right.
Still, the Biden administration knew if they released the CIA report that showed the CIA backs the lab leak theory as the most probable cause, that the public would start asking questions, or somebody might start asking questions of the Biden administration of why were you trying to hide and protect China all of this time? What was the reason that you did that? But the point that's interesting is no Democrat seems to be upset by this at all. None. Not one.
No.
Democrat voters don't seem to be upset about it.
No.
So you have to ask the question, why were Democrats okay with the government hiding what they knew about COVID that shut down the United States, caused over 1 million deaths? Think about this, too. Who was the senator? Was it Murphy last week that was talking to Stefanik? About how cruel the immigration policy is. And she brought up the 300,000 missing children. He just sort of poo-pooed it like it was nothing. Right. Oh, yeah, we know about that number. But Democrats never cared about that number.
No.
Democrats never cared. Not one Democrat that I know spoke up about that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Did Cuellar or Gallego? I don't think so.
I don't recall that, no.
Fetterman might have. I don't think Fetterman even did.
No, I think
did
with I think with Gonzalez and Cuellar, I think with them it was more about their constituents, and that was really on another issue altogether. Cuellar has been probably the most vocal of any Democrat, but we're talking about a border state Democrat,
right? But the majority completely silent on it. Completely silent.
Right.
Didn't care that 300,000 children were missing.
Well, I haven't seen any real outrage on that. Where's the sense of urgency? That is a massive crisis right now. That deserves the utmost attention, and the left is quiet.
Yeah, didn't care.
Didn't care. Why isn't AOC at the border crying about that while leaning on a fence? Why aren't they outraged? They don't care. They absolutely don't care.
You're listening to Red Eye Radio from the Uniden America Studios.
And he is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning. Download our Red Eye Radio app today. You can listen when and where you choose.
And thank you.
All right. One of the things we've been playing is Stephen A. Smith on Bill Maher on Friday. Been playing a number of cuts throughout the day, throughout the morning. He was on with Representative Ro Khanna from California and Bill Maher. So 3 liberals you have on.
Yeah.
All right. 3 liberals. Let's hear them talking about Trump and illegal immigrant criminals. Remember, 3 liberals here.
Okay, so let's talk about the border one. Okay. Because ICE is now detaining people. This has a lot of people concerned. The Laken Riley Act, I'm sure you voted on that. I think you voted no. Okay, but it did pass with 46 Democrats in the House voted for it. And in the Senate, it passed 64 to 35, so I think about 12 Democrats there. This is a law that says that ICE can detain any illegal who is charged, arrested, or convicted of a crime, not merely an accusation, so don't get excited, Karens. Has to be charged, arrested, or convicted. Now, Ruben Gallego, who we've had on this show a number of times, and I think has bigger ambitions, that he's now the senator from Arizona, he voted for it. He said, I'm bringing the perspective of working-class Latinos from Arizona. That perspective, I think, has been missing. And he talks about people who are largely out of touch with where your average Latino is. It sounds like he's calling out people like you who voted no.
I like Ruben. There are a lot of Latino. I do. I think he ran a hell of a race. But there are a lot of Latino leaders who also voted no. Here's the basic thing in this country. If you're convicted of a sex offense, of a violent offense, absolutely, you should be deported. But if you're just arrested, we are a country in which we have due process, and you should have a trial. I think that's a reasonable position. I think most people can agree also that, yes, let's deport convicted felons, convicted criminals, but let's not deport our nannies and students or dental hygienists who've been living here for years and have kids in communities. We can have a common sense position on this.
I get that. That makes a lot of sense, but there's a flip side. So, for example, if I remember correctly, based on my research, in Sacramento in 2023, there was a law passed in terms of empowering the governor of California to really force the environmentalists and the courts to move quickly, 270 days, if I remember correctly, something along those lines. Why do I bring something like that up with a subject like this? Because here in your state, they can drag their feet and prolong certain things. And as a result of that, things don't get done nearly as fast as they should. When we're talking about immigration and we're talking about immigrants who may be criminals, you're talking about them being arrested. Let's have due process. But if it takes too damn long to address it, that pisses people off. That's one of the problems that exist in this country. You're looking at stuff and you're like, okay, you arrested him. Was he in jail? All right, you let him out. Recidivism is an issue in this country. You let somebody, you arrest them, you're letting them out the same day, stuff like that. You got law enforcement officials that are getting discouraged because they're looking at it and they're saying, wait a minute, why are we out here risking our life and taking care of this stuff when y'all are just letting people out? You got to handle business. And a lot of times we hear about the red tape and all of that stuff, and you're talking about a candidate right now who now happens to be the president of the United States now. He's sitting up there and he's talking about expediting the process at every turn. Let's just get stuff done. Let's just get it done. Now, I don't know if I trust that. I don't blame you for not trusting it. But we have to understand the American people are saying, you know what, enough's enough. We've tried it that way. We've been doing it that way for decades. We sick of y'all. Let's wait. Let's go through the process. Let's arrest somebody. Let's let them out. Let's put them back out on the streets. Oh, let's make sure they have due process. You think somebody wants to hear about due process with somebody that's in this country illegally? I don't want to hear that. You in the country illegally. Hell with your process. Yeah. You got the audacity to admit a crime after you got here illegally? We ain't trying to hear that. Nobody's trying to hear that. So they're saying, wait a minute, what are you going to do about it?
You know, and really, that's what it comes down to. People are done with this whole talk of, wait, hold on a second. Are they here legally or not? The talk of, well, what we have to do is we have to blah, 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 comprehensive, blah, 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 blah. That's establishment talk. And the left, the Democrats right now, are the ones engaging in it. And some Some of the GOP in the past have been far too generous. I'm putting it nicely. They've been laying down for the left for far too long. When you look at expediting the process in this, it's a very clear and direct set of questions. Are they here illegally? Yes. All right. Have they committed a crime? If the answer is also yes, bye, see ya. You know, floating this idea, well, but they've been here for years. Due process, due process, due process. Due process includes deportation.
Well, actually, that is the due process if you're here illegally.
Exactly. So if they're here legally, then that due process is going to take place in the courts, depending on the type of crime they committed.
Right. And they have, well, I mean, they still would be an American criminal court, but there's also a court for people that are here illegally. And the process.
And if you're here illegally and you've committed a crime, I don't care if it's the nanny.
Well, if you're charged, remember, if you're charged with the crime, it's if you're charged, arrested, charged.
Or convicted.
Or
yes.
convicted, right.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Right.
We're not talking about people just pointing at people saying, hey, they committed a crime.
Right. Well, that's what AOC was saying, by the way. AOC was, I think that's who Bill Maher was referring to as the Karen.
I'll consider the source there.
That's why he called her a Karen.
I know. This is the problem. You know, this is, again, AOC isn't part of the common sense anything. She doesn't know the meaning of common sense. And entertaining that for 1 second you become as clueless as she does. Once you just start engaging with her, it's over. She's not a real part of this conversation. The Republicans have the power. The border states know what they're dealing with. And you either act on this or you suffer the political consequences. There's really no way around it. There isn't. This is why you're seeing border state Democrats. This is why you're seeing, in fact, the state of Texas. All these border counties, except for one, went red for a reason. Because something has to be done. They're being overrun. I had a buddy of mine from Del Rio tell me, man, the property values are just through the floor. Nobody wants to build. Nobody wants to live. If they believe the border is going to continue to be broken, there is no opportunity for them there. They don't see it. They're being overrun. So if you've committed a crime and you're here illegally, don't expect that you're going to get, and you shouldn't get, due process other than deportation. Period.
And you're not going to win that one with the American public. I told you that, and some of it, the volume's just really low, but it was Dr. Phil out there with Tom Homan. And they arrested this guy from Thailand. He's actually a convicted sexual predator who's been allowed to stay in the United States. I mean, you just can't make this stuff up. You're like, you got to be kidding me. And I was telling you when we were watching it, and I just said, Eric, Democrats can't win this. And I want to play this. You know, we've talked about Lindy Lee. Lindy Lee, just a couple of months ago, was a loyal Democrat. I mean, very loyal Democrat. What did she do? She bundled mega donors together to give to the DNC. And then afterwards, after the botched campaign, and then all of the talk about money being spent and wasted in the campaign, mega donors and other donors were furious. And she wanted a full audit done on the DNC. Well, of course, she was eviscerated by them. We're not going to do anything about it. So she quit. She's no longer a Democrat. Where was she last week? bundling people to donate to the Trump inaugural campaign, where she also brought other Democrat mega donors to give to Trump. You and I have asked the question when we listened to her, why was she even a Democrat? You may ask yourself the same question after you hear her talk about illegal immigration. Here we go.
Immigration for me is a very, very big issue. I'm a legal immigrant. I'm a naturalized American. My family and I waited years to come to this country. This is not opportunism. This is just the way that I am.
Yeah.
And as you know, they say that a Republican is just a Democrat mugged by reality. I've been assaulted multiple times on the streets of Philadelphia simply for getting my dinner. Like, I was just standing there, and I mean, I have a paper trail. I'll file a police report. Like, this happened to me. And, you know, as I've gotten older, I've become more conservative. I grew up in the era of Barack Obama, and it wasn't acceptable to be a Republican. I think there were like 2 Republicans on my college campus.
Right.
It was just conservatives were just ostracized. I didn't realize until recently that not being a member of the Democratic Party was an option.
Yep, we'd been saying it to her for a while. Well, why are you still a Democrat?
Well, she no longer is.
Yep. Well,
why? Why? Because I can't believe I'm saying this. It's cool to be a Republican.
Well, but if you think about it, it isn't just a trend. And it isn't based on one thing. Think about that. What has Trump been on? What issue has Trump been working on officially over the last week? The answer is all of them.
All of them, yeah. Yeah.
Because in the past, we saw this, occasionally it would, well, this celebrity says they vote Republican and blah, blah. Well, let's talk to them. I'm blah, 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 blah. John Cryer and blah, 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 blah. Well, but it was after something like one event just happened, or, a Republican president did something and it was, I voted blah, 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 blah. What you're seeing now is different. Trump is the leadership of the GOP, but Trump is moving in the direction with the American people. That's the difference. It's not, he's been working on every issue starting from before day one, really since after the election, he went to work. Well, this is based on, we need to stop this garbage of hitting the brakes, reassessing, worrying about language, worrying about offending, worrying about pronouns. Get to work.
I was thinking that when I just said, I can't believe I'm saying it, that, being a Republican is cool because it's something that's been so rejected. But you and I have actually said this for the longest time, that being a conservative is actually being, you want to be a rebel. A conservative is being a rebel, believing in the autonomy of an individual. That's being a rebel, not conforming like all these wimpy rock bands that used to be about individuality, and now it's about conformity and censorship and promoting that as some type of bizarro democracy. You want to be cool? Yeah, be a conservative.
Yep.
And so, yeah, it should have been cool. It hasn't been. We've always thought it was, if you're a conservative. Because why? Because you believe in the spirit of the individual, and that's always cool. Right, Fonz? Oh, wait a minute. He's a liberal.
Yeah. It's, again, it's about the issues. It's about people seeing things getting done in a very straightforward, common sense approach.
By the way, Fonzie is a character, if you're under 60 years old, from a comedy in the 70s and early 80s called Happy Days.
Right. Not a scheme to take your money.
Yes. 866-90-RED-I.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90-RED-I.
It's Friday Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. The question is, how many topics will we cover this week with Trump in office?
No, the question will be, how many things does he get done?
What's he over and under?
It's got to be dozens. Got to be dozens, because now his cabinet's coming together. Now his staff is, in place. His cabinet's coming together, and a lot of that is behind him. We'll see where it goes on the rest of the cabinet picks, but you have something here in place now, the base of his cabinet coming together. The Hegseth thing with J.D. Vance and the tiebreaker vote was almost barely a story. It's coming together. He's working, and again, he's not slowing down, which is a good thing.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One.